welcome to another exciting edition of Editors Forum on Galaxy Television. As we know, we look at issues, both Nigeria and let's just say home and abroad, talking about sport, entertainment, business, politics, current affairs, just name it. We discuss these on the show from a journalist point of view, I would say. Once again, I am Solomon of our topic for discussion today, border closure in Nigeria. It's been about a year or so when the Nigerian border has been shut to curtail smuggling activities and illicit trade. So the government said we're going to be taking a look at how these has taken a toll on the citizens of Nigeria, especially when trading is concerned. And we'll also be taking a look at the rising insecurity in Nigeria today. Kidnapping is seriously on the rise. And also after the NSAS protest, where it looks like the police, Nigerian police force, have decided to take a shy point of view. It's like thieves, hoodlums have taken serious advantage of the seeming absence of the policemen in Nigeria. And of course, we're going to be taking a look, when we have time, the Abdul Rashid Maynard pension saga. So much to talk about, so little time, but we're going to try our best to fit all these in about, let's say, 55 minutes. Once again, you're welcome to Editors Forum, and I'm Solomon of them. I have my guests in the house. I'll introduce them and we'll start talking when we come back from this very short break. Good to have you back. If you're just tuning in, this is Editors Forum on Galaxy Television. I have Dr. Dayo Kayode. He's a political technocrat. Good to have you join us on the program today, sir.
Yes, it's my pleasure being here today. But let me quickly put this to you. You see, sometimes I think Ogun State government should control these Okada people as is in Lake. I wouldn't have been here today if not because I was a bit careful. All these Okada guys, they are never learned. Most of them are not even, I don't even see them to have this common sense to be riding. Imagine an Okada supposed to veer to the right-hand side at a junction, while I'm to veer to the left-hand side. And because of a small encumbrance, this Okada has to double-cross me. Imagine if accident had happened, how would I have been here? So Ogun State government should try as much as possible to control these Okada riders, just as it's been done in Lagos.
It's not just the Ogun State thing. I mean, we have the clash between Okada riders and these people that enforced Okada. What's their name now in Lagos?
Yeah.
The task force a few days ago. The issue is that, like the average taxi drivers, most of these downfall drivers, Okada drivers, really don't know the rules. Most of these traffic rules.
Do you know downfall and all that? Still, they are even still, better. You can still, I mean, curtail them because they have licenses. But all these Okada guys, most of them are not even Nigerians. I mean, most of them are not even Nigerians.
That's another thing we want to discuss.
We have had some of them talk. We have seen some of them behaving and all that. They are not Nigerians. They should be curtailed. They are now becoming a serious menace in the society. And if not well caught, it's going to be another Boko Haram.
It doesn't even matter if they are Nigerians or not. The point is, if you're going to be driving on the Nigerian road, then you should be trained to do that. Yeah. So good to have you on the program today. Then I have Olusegun Ario, Urban Express News. Good to have you join us on the program today. I'm meeting you two guys for the first time officially on this show. So
it's my pleasure meeting you.
Okay.
Pleasure meeting you.
So let's quickly go to our first topic of discussion, which is the issue of border closure in Nigeria. For over a year, Nigerian land borders have been shut to curtail smuggling activities and illegal trade. For residents who live within the border areas, they tell our correspondent John Felix how they have fared in the last 13 months. We're going to be taking a look at that short report. I'll be right back.
Following the closure of the borders in August 2019, the adverse consequences of the border closure are far-reaching. Before now, this axis is a beehive of activities, but now it's relatively quiet. Food inflation is on the increase, the highest in several years, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. No doubt, high food prices encourage smugglers to continue the illegal smuggling of foodstuffs by buying at low prices in neighboring countries and selling them at higher prices in Nigeria. But for residents who live within the border areas, they say life has not been the same in the last 13 months. While lamenting the continued closure, they are appealing to the federal government to reconsider the decision.
The thing affected us seriously. Like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, everything is moving very fine. Everywhere is booming. But look at where we are selling food now. Everywhere is dry. Everywhere is turned to bush. There is no motor, nothing. Nobody is coming out. When we sell our food, when we cook our food finish, nobody will buy it. We are not seeing anybody to come. People are not coming to border to enter to go Igolo. Nobody is coming. Everywhere is dry. We are dying for hunger. Federal government, please, we are begging you people to help us to open border, because I believe that if border open now, things will be moving out. Everybody will be seeing, even the laborers, they will be seeing things 1 naira to be buying food.
Our business here is not move anymore. People are suffering every day. There's nothing we can do, and people are dying for hunger. Here, some people have already run mad because of this situation. That's why we are crying out. The people are crying every day because the closure of the border is affecting the economies of this area. Before it's not like that. People are moving up and down, but since the government has ordered the closure of the border, and the border, every border are running extra scatter because of their daily living, and to eat is a very difficult for them.
You know, not everybody in the border is a smuggler. You take notice of this. There are some people who are doing their legitimate business, now paying duty to the federal government. Government too is losing. It's losing. All the revenue that's supposed to come from Idiroko is no longer coming due to the border closure. So we are appealing to the federal government to come to our aid, and the border should be opened.
For the Customs Area Controller in Ogun State, Michael Agbara, he speaks on the pains and gains of the continued border closure. He notes that the failure of some neighboring countries to adhere strictly to the WCO and WTO standard has led to the continued closure of the border.
The failure to comply with international standard practice is the whole problem. If today everybody is compliant, international trade will be facilitated with ease. But I cannot be compliant, then you refuse to comply. In diplomacy, it is not accepted. There is law of reciprocity in international relations. So those are the things. Yes, if you impose border closure, there will be disadvantages. There are Nigerians who do genuine business outside. There are those who outside who do across the border too. Those ones will be impeded. It can affect international trade. Because one of our major functions is trade facilitation.
It's 13 months down the line since the federal government ordered that all land borders across the country be closed. Here at the Idiroko land border, the story is not different. Residents of this community are asking and are also begging for answers when the borders will be opened for economic activities. From Idiroko here in Ogun State, John Felix reporting for Galaxy Television News.
And that is a report on what the people living in the border are facing. Well, it's not just people living in the border. It seems to have affected trade even inside the country. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you see, having listened to some of the topics you want us to look at today, each and every one of them, I'm going to anchor them on what I postulated in one of my papers as it concerns political business with the people and political service to the people. One is with the people. The other one is to the people. All right? Now, when you look at this border closure, the first point you should first of all ask is this: what are the rationale for it? Vis-a-vis what we are seeing happening. All right? Now, again, only 2 people out of the millions of Nigerians are being allowed to undertake interborder businesses. Why? All right? Again, if the effect is to firm up our economy as it was being reeled out when this issue started, if it is to firm up our economy, to what extent has our economy been improved? All right? We can also look at from the perspective of the rules, the guidelines, the framework that guides the ECOWAS countries as regards international trade. Has Nigeria complied? Further, we can also see this through the newly signed, I think that one happened late last year or so, African Free Trade, whatever, AFTAC or so. To what extent is this border closure conforming to all the treaties that we signed? Because I can remember then Lai Mohammed, trying to talk about that particular treaty and all that, and I was telling him, wait, man, are we really prepared? Are we sure what we're signing? Okay? So we need to look at all these and put them into proper perspectives. If you are conversant with some of the figures of the Bureau of Statistics, you're going to see our rate of unemployment now. In 2015, it was around I think 13.5 or thereabout. Now it's about 33, 34, 35, according to Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. I was on one platform yesterday and somebody was arguing with me, we should consider COVID-19. I said, which COVID-19? Was COVID-19 in 2021? I mean, in 2019? There was nothing like COVID-19 in 2019.
And the border has been closed since then.
Do you understand? Look at Manufacturers Association. Look at what is happening. Most factories, so many factories have closed down. The few that are left are producing below 25% capacity.
Much more than the population.
Do you
much
understand?
Lower rather.
Much lower. Again, they are talking about rice coming in from all this. Are we still not having that rice in our country? Go to the market, you will see there. Who are the people bringing in those bags of rice that are now competing with our own? Okay? Who are those people bringing it in? Is it not because they want them to have to make more profit that they now close our borders and now allow just 2 people to be doing interborder trading?
Even with that, the demand is way higher than what's
that is why you now see a kind of quadrupled increase in prices. I was amazed when I wanted to buy, this tomato paste, this popular one. I normally, sometimes when I'm feeling dehydrated, I normally mix it with Fanta, pour it inside Fanta and all that. This sachet tomato puree. That's
strange. What does that do?
Oh, usually I used to buy that thing 50 naira. Then press it inside Fanta, shake it very well, shake it. I mean, when you try it and see, the effect you're going to have. All right? Of recent, That thing now sells for 150 naira, from 50 naira. You can imagine. Look at our exchange rates.
That's 150% increase.
It's not. Look at our exchange rates from 180. What? Because I remember in 2015, I see exchange it at the airport for 190. For 190 at the airport. Immediately, shortly before that presidential, a week before that presidential election, bought it at that price. Look at what it is now. Now, looking at 500 naira to $1. And you are talking about border closure. Okay? Now, border closure again. Which of the borders are being closed? Which of the borders are being closed? Are we saying the same way Igolo borders are being closed, so also the ones in the north are being closed?
Okay,
where are all those bandits entering from? Okay, where are those bandits entering from? Because you find out that they will say, okay, after these people are operated in one village or the other in Maiduguri and whatever, they now run across the border
to Chad and Niger Republic.
All right. Okay. Even how about the kidnappers that kidnapped an American in Niger Republic, and then they brought the
operation they brought to Nigeria.
They are kidnapped American to Nigeria. Which border did they pass through? I mean, these are issues. And I used to tell you, this government, are they in government to serve the people or doing business with the people?
Okay,
we continue from there.
Let me hear your views. I don't want us to go into the trade deal. That would be too. I want us to come down to the level of the average Nigerians and how this border closure has affected the ordinary trade. Now, the reason for the border closure seems to be genuine, to curtail smuggling activities and illicit trade. But from what has happened, does it exactly justify the closure of the border?
No, it doesn't justify the closure of the border. Yes, to add to what you have just said, part of the reason why government closed the border is because of the provision of provision of little arm. Now, the question is, for so far so good, one would have been able to, government would have been able to tell Nigerian people, their focus, the reason why the border was closed, and then come again to tell us a mid-term assessment of whether they have gained, ahead of what they have stipulated or not. They have failed to tell us that. So, in so doing, what that thing had been targeted had overshoot, its aim, now affecting the inhabitant. How is it affecting the inhabitant? There are many small-scale activities that is being thriving in that location that is no more, which is legitimate. There are many areas that has to do with sellings of goods, buying of goods within the sub-region that is no more functioning. Now, the question is, must we use, because of those proliferation of arm, smuggling of proliferation of arm into the country, to now disallow other legitimate activities? Why is it that government is unable to look beyond closing the border and tapping into the reason why, those things are being smuggled into the country? And obviously,
and how they are being smuggled.
Obviously, it is out there for everybody, on the domain for everybody to see. One of the reasons, if you ask me, is because of the enforcement agent there. their sincerity of purpose is still being questioned.
It's still part of the corruption we're talking about.
It's still part of the corruption we're talking about. You allowing, you know, provocation of arm to come into the country through the borders, but who are those manning those areas that are supposed to have been assessed, determined, and removed if need be, or allowed if need be? I say this because every part of the country, all over the world, for example, we are talking about Mexico border and the US border. Go and check. The United States president does not come to that border to enforce any policies. He would make that policy, you know, the lawmakers in the US, the congressmen would make that policy. Those that are there are not ghosts. They are American citizens. Why is our own different? You will watch some documentaries in which they will go to the extent of killing Mexicans, you know, trying to migrate into the country. But this is the sincerity of purpose you are talking about. Then instead of government to look inward and ask itself that why are those enforcement agencies giving these shouldered responsibilities, why are they not doing what they are expected to do? If you do a comparative analysis with the United States and Mexico border, and even this Cotonou here and Nigerian border vis-a-vis Ghana and the rest of them, we will agree with me that the enforcement aspect of the border management is not to talk about. Now, who is supposed to take responsibility about it? It's the government. Why is government shying away from there and trying to close up the border and still keep them there? Dr. Kayode mentioned that as we speak, influx of rice, foreign rice is still coming in, despite their being there. So, what do you stand to gain? You have closed the border for more than a year now. What are the assessments? They have failed to tell the journalists what have they been able to gain. Instead, we have, you know, getting ourselves into recession. Nothing works in the country. The Manufacturing Association of Nigeria had called, discussed, tell government secret things, steps, approaches to follow. It falls on their deaf ears. The Lagos State Chamber of Commerce, the man came on air. I watched him give reasons why government needs to open the border for their economic indices to come up a little, so that there will be a functional and sustainable system. They refuse to hear. Now we have slumped into recession. The money that is supposed to be generated as revenue from that place is being debarred. But I can assure you, those that are agents of government there, they are never suffering. You know why? Because of corruption. So the government should rather look inward.
Because they'll collect money from some certain people.
It is not their concern. You government agents, you are not going to be there. It is the law enforcement agent that you think are doing the job that many questions need to be asked. And who is supposed to ask this question? The government itself that kept them there. Are you getting my point? These are the challenges. So we need to look at areas of concern specifically, not that you are just going to close border entirely to a lot of development and exchange trade treaties, you know, against the inhabitants, against the Nigerian people. The reason why we are suffering, they are not feeling the heat. Nigerians are feeling the heat. Look at what that woman just said the other time, that the people are feeling the heat. Just a small scale business around that area. Part of the functional system I was talking about is those small scale businesses we are talking about. Then even manufacturers associations do sell their legitimate products all around within the sub-region of African countries, and they go through that borders. That comes to the question of what Dr. Kayode has said again about other parts of the country, whether indeed the borders are closed or not. Every of the sharp focus we are talking about is the southwest border, Shaki border, Lagos, and
because
I can
for
assure
years
you there was never a report. I'm a journalist, a senior one at that matter. I've not seen any report on other part of the state, Nigerian North Central State, the Benue, Katsina, all those northern states that Dr. Kayode have mentioned. We have never seen a report of anything that is coming through there. But the sharp focus has always been the southwestern border. The people are not happy with the president. If he must know, he should know now. We are from the inhabitants. We live with them. They are not happy. We expect him to get people of impeccable character from the custom and immigration to come on board there without no compromise and do due diligent enforcement. Then you will know the difference between the trade treaty enforcement and those illegal goods that are coming in influx through those routes, which are questionable, that is being allowed by this same law enforcement agent because of the question of integrity and the large answers of corruption that is, you know, hitting at them, like I've mentioned earlier. So that is exactly what I think the government should rather look at. The law enforcement aspect, the part of them is custom, the immigration, the SSS. These are people who are supposed to be. Then there is a need for them to build international innovation of ICT, international communication tech, that will give a scanning reflection of the activities that goes in the border. If you go into the US, all those things are in the border. They don't joke with border management and control in the US. Why is Nigeria own different? Instead of them to look at that, they rather stop every activities affecting others.
Sorry, sir.
Okay.
Shegun, please, I can see your passion. Relax. It's not that they don't know. It's not that they are not hearing us. This scanning, already we have it in the country, but they will never use it. You know why? Because we have a government that is entrenched in political business. And as much as their business partners, as much as their business interest is being taken good care of, their service to the people is not an issue. So just relax yourself.
Now, let's not be like we spend the whole of the time complaining. What can we profile solution? What can be done?
One of the solutions I just profiled.
Yeah, you already
ICT,
started.
Then the enforcement part of it, due diligence in ensuring those that are going to be manning the borders are core professionals, and they are going to do what we call midterm assessment to be able to look at what they have been able to identify as a problem, where they've been able to solve, given the enforcement of a decision they have taken to close the border outrightly. You know, have they been able? Is it been able to solve? They should be able to tell us, Nigerians, whether it is solved or not. If it's not solved, what are the areas they are going to look at? Even the analysts have already said it before now, that closing the border outrightly is not of importance. What is of importance is to get those enforcement officers of impeccable characters to be there. So one of the recommendations is to ensure that enforcement officers with impeccable character are there. Then new technological innovations to scan a reflection of every activities within the border. So all those goods that are contraband, that are not expected to come into the country, is scanned and is being picked and get from origin to destination, so that those, if the enforcement officers allow it to go, the scan will pick, other enforcement agents will follow it and arrest. So those that are involved, there are many cases where borders are opened, sorry, I'll have to put quickly, borders are closed, and people, agencies allow cars to come in, and at the end of it, it was arrested. But instead of them to go further in the investigation to say, okay, where did this car come in from? Who are the officers on the duty? Are they not supposed to be reprimanded to serve as deterrent to others? These are the things you are supposed to. But when it comes to doing that, when they see one interest is there or the other, they withdraw. So how do you expect corruption not to thrive? So those are the recommendations as far as I'm concerned.
Now you see, inclusively, he has spoken about the operational aspect of it. But let us go to the legislative aspect of it.
Okay.
Our National Assembly, they have a great role
To play.
There are committees that are being empowered with supervisory rules within there. To what extent have they been carrying out such rules? In terms of borders, there are committees that are responsible for international agencies, those ones that man our international borders and all that. What are these people doing? There are also committees in that same National Assembly that is supposed to look at the welfare of the people. To what extent are these this kind of policy, that policy and all that affecting the welfare of the people? What are all these committees doing? So all these committees must be able to live up to their billings. And then to we the people. We are the ones that elected these members to the National Assembly especially. Why can't we hold them responsible? Do you understand? When for instance, the head of a particular committee who has been elected by a particular community comes around, let that member know, either a senator or member of House of Reps or even a member of Houses of Assembly, let them be aware these are our sufferings. Okay? So why can't you do this, do that through your committee and then pass it to either your Senate President or the Speaker of the House of Reps or House of Assembly. So as those people have their roles, so we the people, we also have our roles. But essentially, my brother, essentially, no matter what we do, not until when we decide to change the philosophy of this government from being business-oriented to service-oriented, nothing will still be achieved.
Now, let's take a look at the manufacturers, because one of the reasons, government say they close border is to empower the local manufacturers. Now, but the issue now is not everything we have in this country. There are some that we don't have manufacturers for, so they need to be imported in. And the ones that we do have, the manufacturers here, do they have the capacity to produce the quantity that the country needs? Now, let's take rice, for example. We do know that we do produce rice in Nigeria, but do we have them in abundance
to
enough
satisfy the people? That is the issue. Those are part of the thing we're talking about. You want people to be producing rice. What are the enabling environment provided for these people to be able to produce this rice?
Especially for a country like Nigeria, where rice is like the main thing we eat, and again, such huge population.
What are the infrastructures being put in place for Nigerian rice to be able to compete even with imported rice? 3.
Because it looks like our local rice is even more expensive than the imported.
You see, number 3.
Instead of being cheaper.
Why will it not be expensive when you will also put into consideration that the money you gain from your rice, you are going to use it to buy some other things in the market?
That are expensive.
Like for instance, the tomato puree I was talking about, that is now expensive. Do you understand? Are you not going to increase the price of your own commodity when you find out that, despite the fact that yours is more nutritious than the one being imported, because that one is going through some processes there and they pay some money, and then it's becoming more expensive than your own? Do you understand? So definitely you have to also increase your own price. That's why that is being here. Now let's go further. Some of the raw materials that are being used to produce things here
are imported.
Some that are imported. To what extent has the manufacturers been able to bring them in? Considering the fact that even of recent, this year alone, before COVID-19, our exchange rate was in the range of 320,
almost 400.
Not up to 400. No. 320 to 333. Okay. That I'm aware of. Before COVID. But look at the rate of increase from that time now. How many months? Less than 7 months. It's now about 500. Okay? So how will they now be able to pay in dollars to import those their raw materials? Do you understand? Also bearing in mind, cost of energy. No light. Even when there is light, they will bring exorbitant bill to you. Then when there is no light, you need to power your
source. So you need like a generator.
You need like a generator to run your machines. Do you understand? And then when you now go to buy fuel, you see, look at the price. Diesel, look at the price. So when you see all these things, they are interwoven, that not until when we come up with a multidisciplinary approach.
Also talk of cost of transportation.
Cost of
from the production to the market, to the production source to the market.
Even about cost of labor. How about cost of labor? Do we still have employable people around? When you are supposed to use
When you're supposed to use like 9 months in a year to study, you are now being rushed, and then you are now using like 5 months.
Because
there was this incident that happened in an aircraft. They were airborne, and the pilots now tried to address the people where I'm so. There was a professor sitting in the first class. He now had that person's name. He found out that he was the one that trained that pilot, and he knew the kind of pilot he trained. He was now saying, please, hey, the Lord is my shepherd today. Do you understand? Because he knew the kind of person he had produced, half-baked graduates, of which they cannot successfully compete in the international world.
Okay, let me quickly, as we go to the next topic of discussion. Time is really running out.
To just add to what you have said, I think land is very important. I've said it several times here on agricultural development, that government must look inward and see how land, the cumbersome process of accessing land, is being relaxed. So I quoted one of my doctors, Dr. Yewole Fabum, in one of his books. He says that he prefers that land use act should be removed for land use policy in order for accessibility of land. And I agree with him. That concept would allow youth. To be fair with this government, the president launched one youth agri scheme last week. You see, my challenge has been that, yes, you have launched that agri scheme. You don't just sit in Aso Villa
and expect things to
flow. To be fair with Muhammadu Buhari,
you need a monitoring.
In collaboration with Central Bank, I think a policy of such has been inaugurated recently, about 2 weeks ago, by the president via Skype. I think via Skype.
Are they meant to succeed?
But the point is,
are those skills meant to succeed?
The point is, you can't sit in the house in Aso Rock and sit back and feel that those things are working. Before you can accept that those things are working, you come to interior part of Badagry. You look at the interior part of Daura in your local government. Who are those that are supposed to be doing this? Have they got into this local government? Have we been able to feel it? One of the cumbersome things we have said, I think it's what we said here, that the president saw that there's a need for youth agricultural scheme to come alive. And he has done it, to be fair with him. But implementation must be driven by those with sincerity of purpose. So that is one of those. And then manufacturing association of Nigeria, like I've said, not only rice, we have paint. Nigerians are producers of paint. They should allow the manufacturers of paint to go within the sub-region. Nigeria is producing for other sub-regional countries. Paint should be allowed to go through the borders, each free, so that they can supply other countries that are in need. By so doing, we are bringing in foreign exchange earnings, not only rice alone. So conducive atmosphere for rice to serve as competition with other foreign rice must include understanding of agricultural value chain that must put in place a good policy on land. Land, if you want to develop or produce anything, you don't have land, there's nothing you have done so far. So
okay. I mean, as I said earlier, a lot to talk about with very little time. We'll go to our next topic of discussion, where rising insecurity in Nigeria, kidnapping especially, has been on the rise. We'll be right back with this report.
Initially, we have insurgency in the northeast, and from insurgency we have the Fulani herdsmen, and from there we graduated to banditry, and banditry now to kidnapping. It is so unfortunate that in all this issue of insecurity, there is no one of these four that I've mentioned that the government have come out with a blueprint to tackle it. The insurgency is still there. The herdsmen are still there. The banditry is expanding every day, and so is the kidnapping. What is so difficult in government really coming out with a strategy to even deal with one of these? How long will it take? How come that the president cannot give a marching order and say, look, within 6 months, I want this issue of kidnapping to be reduced to 5 or 10%. It can be done. It is just give a dedicated allocation and set up some special trained forces to deal with that.
Worthy of note, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is the unfortunate and unwarranted recent attack and vandalization of the Court of Appeal Archive Office in the Lagos Division, as well as the Lagos High Court Complex, located at Igboshere, which was set ablaze by hoodlums. This action is highly condemnable and a clarion call for provision of adequate security mechanisms for the safety of our judges and the courts generally.
If you're just tuning in, this is Editors Forum on Galaxy Television. Now let's talk insecurity. I mean, the space of insecurity, especially kidnapping, it's like skyrocketed. What do you think is the cause of all this? Just let's see if we can discuss this topic for like 10 minutes.
Between you and me, if you have never eaten in the last 2 days, will you have been here today? No. Even if you are here, you wouldn't be so radiant the way you look it.
Oh, I'm radiant, thank you.
Now, there will always be insecurity, series of insecurity activities in Nigeria, in as much as we are keeping our students at home, in as much as our youth, the energy of our youth, we are not directing it
to the right place
appropriately. There will be insecurity in Nigeria, in as much as people are hungry, in as much as people are not having money in the pocket to purchase at least good living standard. There was an incident in Oshogbo reported, I think early last year or late upper year. A woman who was very hungry with the two children went to a Gari seller to buy Gari. All right, he went with the two children. She now told the guy, like, wow, she forgot her purse from where she was coming from. Say, okay, don't worry, let this one of my children stay with you. Let me quickly go and bring the money. And she left. The whole day, the Gari seller was still waiting. All right, they now went to the police, and the other child now took them to their house, and they met the woman eating eba with only okra, without stew. And when we are hungry, nothing to eat, and she was not ready to go and steal. The only way she can feed was what she has done. Will you arrest such a person?
Wow. Yes.
I wouldn't encourage people to do some nefarious activities, but at the same time, the way we react to survivor differs. All right? The way people perceive some actions within the environment also differs. Look at the issue of border closure we just spoken about. All right? Go and find out all these people that are perpetrating some of these nefarious activities, especially in the areas of killings and kidnapping. Some of them had been captured before, and we knew the kind of language they were speaking. Those of them carrying arms. There was even a time that the president even come on here that the people that are perpetrating all this are people from Libya. People from Libya. Okay, if there are people from Libya, will they enter through Igolo border? Is it through Igolo border that we enter from? All right. Look at the other time too. The president also came out that, okay, we want to free
our border for our, we want to open our borders for our African brothers. I mean, these are issues that needs to be considered, especially when we're talking about insecurity in this country. People don't have meaningful engagement again, to which they can have a better living standard. Children are no more in school. There are a lot of, look at employment rates from 11% jumping to 34.5% within how many years? Look at what our exchange rate is talking about. Look at the skyrocketing increases in prices of commodities, petroleum, this. And then now look at those that yesterday they were not having anything, but because they are now in political positions, they now have wealth, and they are now using it to even oppress the people. So where do we go from there?
So let's take a look at the security personnel.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about.
Okay.
See, one of them, I had issues with them recently, that all media agency, carried the story when one of them pointed gun at me, and they said he was going to fire me and my generation. I reported that story, Daily Post and the Urban Express News, even I think Punch picked the story. Just not to take much of your time, what I discover in them is that the matter has been resolved anyway, but what I discover in them is that federal government needs to build on the salaries of the police. In fact, as far as me I'm concerned, if I'm the president now, within now and December, the way things are, if I'm the president, I will do something about the security, the salary wages of Nigerian police.
Now, besides, we've talked about the salary.
Hold on. Their welfare, including their houses, barracks. If you go to their barracks, you will imagine if it is human being, that is staying in that barrack.
Looks more like a glorified IDP camp.
Then in their training colleges, you should just go and do some investigative report there. You will discover that what they go through is not, even no human being that is of right thinking, would allow his son or any children to go and receive a training from that kind of activity environment. So what do you expect from those those kind of people to come out and they are holding gun to do? That is why when the issue happened to me, some of my colleagues said, please don't argue further with a man that is holding gun. So one of the solutions I observe is sustainable capacity building for other ranks. Because many of the officers are already graduates trained, they can use their residual, but sustainable training for the rank and files on how to hold arm, their right to shoot, when to shoot and when not to shoot, and even psychological evaluations.
Now, let me also talk about the mode of employment. Because again, mode of employment must change. You see, one of the reasons why you hear Boko Haram is maneuvering, is doing this. For example, I have said this in this forum before, that when you want to enter into the Nigerian Defense Academy, if you don't know anybody, you can't go there. If you want to enter the police academy, the police training, if you don't know anybody, you can't go there. And the reason why those that are privileged goes there, and when the time to face the war comes, they return to their father and begin to call the generals that are in the posting to post them back to where there will be a safer haven for them. You see, the many of them will come to Lagos, and they will post those that are, do not have any power, any godfather
behind them. They post them in the front of the wall. That is where you hear technical maneuvering. Our army did a technical maneuvering against Boko Haram. They are killing them. If what we receive as reports is what we write at times, this country would have blown off. I'm telling you, because the way they are killing Nigerian armed forces is alarming. Even the police, all of them, we used to see video. There are many gruesome videos we saw, especially the one coming from Yobe, when the heat is too high. In the way they are killing our men. These are our people, whether you like it or not. The police are our people. They are part of us. We own them. They get from our VAT to pay them. So many of them come from our family. So we must tell the president the gospel truth. He must be able to finance them. So the issue of godfatherism in joining the military, the paramilitary, if that is stopped, I can assure you, Nigerian armed forces, paramilitary, we get the best of them all.
And also the situation of there is no job, so that's the only job we have. Again, not people that really want to be policemen.
Again, many of them, because of the packages and because of the level of high rate of unemployment, they have no choice than to join and see that whatever comes, they join. But they want to follow the negative part. Some of them want to, because the money is not even enough for them. Let us take, for example.
But you see, it's better than not having a job.
Let me even give you an example. If a constable is getting a 40,000, you want him to pay a house rent of a room. You want him to marry inside that room. You want him to manage his family inside that room. You want him to take a money transport from origin, from where he's staying to the destination of his work.
He also buy uniform.
He wants to buy uniform. A 40,000 naira per month, and that is why he's not doing anything. And you want them to feed that 40,000 with the children. How realizable is that? I did analysis with one of the ministry workers that is collecting 90,000. He stays in 2-bedroom flat. If you are an inspector, you are not even getting up to that. I don't think so. But look at that amount and the reality of the economy. The money you used to buy. Recently, they did a report on an onion that you get one for 200 naira. And that it is essential, you want to prepare any meal, you must put onion. That is one part of the items you are going to get to compose a proper food. So if all those things in 40,000 naira, you expect him next month you pay a student's school fees out of the money. How do you expect him to go about doing it? That is why you see some of them, they get high blood pressure, they die in the process, and that scales.
And then the issue of community policing.
Yes.
Where they post someone from Yobe to cross River State.
You see, one of the reasons the community policing, I pray it will work, is to allow those that are heading them, to have to be from the geopolitical space they are. If you don't do that, you are bringing somebody from the north to come and head somebody in this area command that does not know how to speak their language, that does not, and if anything
doesn't know their way of life.
Doesn't know their way of life. Community thing has something to do with core inhabitant and development, the inhabitant and the development of that community activities. And for those who can tell you what is happening in Ipaja are those who are born there, who knows the place, who can speak their language, who have the majority of the settlers there. So the community policing can work when you bring the commanders from the same geopolitical space.
That is where the community policing, that is what the
commitment. But if you don't have commitment, you don't have commitment to a particular environment, there is nothing you cannot do. But when you have a commitment, that place, you know that your father is there, your mother is there, your cousins are there, your this are there, and that are there.
You will want to protect that community
safety
at all costs.
For that place. So, I once said it. All this we are talking about state police and all that. To me, I don't see that as a big deal. All you need to do is let the Inspector General of Police post somebody who is from Ekiti, all right, or at most from Ondo State as Commissioner of Police for Ekiti. Then let the area commanders, 70% of area commanders, let them come from Ekiti. Others can come from any other place. And the DPO too, 80% of DPO, let them come from Ekiti. Others can come from other areas just to have intercultural, you understand? So by so doing, you have a vast majority of them having commitment to that. I can't be the Commissioner of Police for Ekiti, and then one marauder will come somewhere and say you want to come and be killing my people. In fact, I will set fire, I will set you on fire. Yes. Do you understand? But if you take me to Maiduguri, where I don't even understand the terrain, in Ekiti, I know the whole Koro. You know what they call Koro? The corner.
The core area.
There is no Koro I don't know. From Ushi-Ekiti to Ilobo to Omo to Ikere to Ado to everywhere. There's no place I cannot maneuver. But I cannot do that in Maiduguri, or else you will just enter where a gorge is. But I know where you have gorges in Ekiti. I know where you have bushes. I know where you have traps. I know where you have good terrain. So by so doing, I can also deploy easily.
Let me quickly say this, doctor. I am initially I was not in support of state police, but from the look of things, during this NSAS and the aftermath effect of all, I am now in full support.
It will be politicized. It will be politicized. Look at the way we are using the other word.
In support of a state police now.
State police, when we're talking of state police, our politicians, they can never be trusted. When you're talking of state police, they will use it against their opponents. And you know that in
just like how it is done in the federal right now.
But what we can do, what we can do is just the one I have told you. Let us have it that way.
Now, wait. The state police, community policing, are they different?
If you followed a Kweremadu report, even the civil society will be part of the police board. The civil society will be part of the police board in the state. So if a state commissioner compromises the media representative will be part of the police board.
You mean the media that is being gagged?
No, they will be part of the police board. The civil rights organization will be there. Then professionals, institute of something allied to all these people will be there. Then let me say this. The state police we're talking about works in the US. We have New York State Police Department.
Because that place is a organized society.
They started from
we are just evolving.
I'm saying this before.
We are evolving, and that's why we should have it the way.
Not all of them are criminals.
Most.
Yes, but majority of them has integrity too. So I want, as I'm talking here, Olusegun my name, I say I support state police. And it should be done by special grace of God.
Well, unfortunately, we have to go. And I won't be able to talk on with the last topic, the MENA pension saga. But these two topics, kind of, it's a human angle, which is very, very vital and important. Thank you so much, Dr. Dayo Kayode, political technocrat. Thank you so much. And of course, Olusegun Ariyo, Urban Express News. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. And thank you for being part of the program today on Galaxy Television. And the program is Editors Forum. Next week, Saturday, is another day for us to meet and discuss, inform, educate you what's happening in Nigeria and, of course, around the world. I'm Solomon Offem. Till next week, bye-bye.